find out you had a very good voice.
I'm still looking for it, really. That's the truth. I don't really feel that my voice is something that came after I was playing guitar and piano, really. So I didn't really sing for the first few years in the band seriously. It's more like just like an instrument, you know. So I think for that reason I've always treated singing like an instrument as opposed to words, you know. So the words for me are secondary to that. But I don't know, really. I go through some days where I sing differently to other days, and I never really had any lessons or anything. So I just something that's quite natural to me, really. So I've been singing for about 4 years.
But did you start singing in the bathroom or something, or?
Actually, well, the first place I sang was with a band, this band. After about 2 years of being together, I started singing, and it's because in the band practice room, the band was so loud. I never used to use a microphone, so I used to sort of try and sing over the top of the band, like so. That's why I sing like really sort of high stuff, because it sort of cuts over the band quite easy. You know what I mean?
Who inspired you in your singing?
Some of my favourite singers. Well, I mean, some of my favourite singers are people like Tom Waits, really, who are completely opposite to how I sing. But I mean, I like him just because he puts so much feeling into it and tries to take on characters, you know, as when he's singing. Also, maybe Freddie Mercury a little bit, Jeff Buckley, and some old singers like Nina Simone and Roberta Flack.
Muse is a three-piece band. What's the advantage of that?
Well, the guitar is much louder because, like, if you have like 2 guitars, then you've got to be half as loud. And 3 guitars even more, so when you've got just 1 guitar, you can sort of make really loud noises and everything, and it sort of just cuts out really big, you know. And but also, I think you're a bit more free to improvise. Maybe you're not so locked in, and I mean, the disadvantage is it can be a little bit, maybe a bit loose, maybe a little bit, you know, unorganised in places. But I think it makes it a bit more raw and a bit more something realistic, and people can really tell when it's live. You know, as soon as you get 4 or 5, sometimes you get the impression that something is not live, and there's backing tracks and bits of music. But when it's 3, you can it's obvious that just guitar, bass, and drums. You can just see exactly what it is. You know.
Was there any band who inspired you? A 3-piece band?
There's a lot of 3-piece bands I really like. Probably Jimi Hendrix Experience, Nirvana and Primus, and The Police. I'd say they're probably some of the main influences on the band.
Isn't it more easy to get someone with you?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe at the moment I enjoy running around a lot. I mean, maybe if you want to do something maybe more experimental in the future or something more different, then maybe I'll get another person in to do sort of synthesized and computer-generated music to combine with what we're doing. But I always like playing the piano and the guitar, and I think sometimes you have too many things going on at once. I mean, the reason I go between guitar and piano is to get some more contrast, you know, something that maybe you wouldn't expect from a normal 3-piece band. So. And I write a lot of music on the piano as well. I mean, I write a lot of songs on the piano, and then sort of translate it to the guitar. So.
Were you classically trained?
No, not really. No, I mean, I had 6 months of flamenco Spanish guitar lessons, but that was it. I mean, the piano, I just sort of listened to a lot of stuff. I listened to a lot of classical music actually, and I sort of like that. I like the power of some of it. You know, I mean, for its time, it's amazing. So, and I mean, yeah, music. I think music for me is like. Music is like it sort of communicates something that you can't say with words, and like so I think especially some old classical music, it says something about that time that no books could ever say. You know, and for me, like music is something that is always gonna.
Like what, for instance? Can you give an example?
If you listen to like music from like Rachmaninoff, for me that says a lot about that period in time because it is when really high intelligent music was combining with world music, like blues music, as well as some other world music influences, and it was just before jazz was coming into fashion in 1920, and for me that Rachmaninoff and around that period is probably one of the best, most exciting times in live music. Yeah.
On record, Muse has a tendency to sound a little bit bombastic, whereas live you seem very like a rock and roll band. Is that on purpose, the difference?
I think one of the problems we've had, well not a problem, but in the first and second album is that the songs we recorded we hadn't really played live very much before we recorded them. So maybe it's something on the next album we would like to maybe play the songs live a lot more first so we can discover them as more natural before we record them. So if you don't play a song live before you record it, sometimes you're confused about the instrumentation. And so on the last album there's a lot of experiments with different layers and everything. And I think in some places I tried to put loads and loads of extra things on. But I think in particular on the last album I really was looking to do something that was as extremely over the top as possible because it was to such contrast of everything else that's going on in music at that time, I think.
So it was kind of reaction?
It's like something that was inside me that that I was not afraid to show. Yeah.
What's there inside of you?
No, I mean, like, you know, something like a certain, especially in English music, there's a lot of fear of expression, fear of being flamboyant, and I don't think that reflects what's going on inside English people. So I mean, I wanted to show that, you know.
It wasn't always like that. I mean, British music has a tendency, the art rock bands of the 70s.
Exactly, some of the greatest bands in English music, I think, were probably at times in the 70s and whatever, like 60s, 70s, and I think in the 90s, yeah, English music became very depressing and quite not very confident, you know, or something like that, and so I just felt different to that, really.
So you wanted to bring back a kind of more pretentious or artful.
Yeah, I think when you're not afraid of being pretentious, then you can get away with more things that are maybe a bit more fantastical, you know, or something a bit more unusual. And if you're prepared to take on characters, then you can maybe explore much more different avenues than just pure earnestness.
On stage, you seem to be very frantic or manic in a way. Is that because you have to lose some energy?
I don't know, I think yeah, the feeling you get from playing music is just really exciting. You know, it's an amazing feeling playing in front of a large amount of people. It feels like you're doing something that is sort of transcending language. You know, especially in foreign countries as well. When you realise you're in some way connecting with a large amount of people that you couldn't talk to normally, and I think that's just an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you get charged up every time?
What's that?
How do you get charged up every time?
Sort of sit in the dressing room quite calm, really, and just drink water and pace around in circles quite a lot. And I sort of change about 5 minutes before I go on stage. So something comes over me that's difficult to explain, but I just become very intensively interested in being on the stage. You know.
Well, is it different for you in preparing for when you play on a festival like this on the main stage compared to smaller audiences?
Today is going to be the biggest audience we played to this year. I mean, the last 2 days we played in Germany, and that was quite, it was much more shocking because we did a bit of touring earlier this year, but it was all quite small clubs, and so yeah, it's quite scary playing in front of such a large audience. So, if anything, I think maybe sometimes the more nervous I am, sometimes the better I think I play, or the more you have to concentrate on yourself and your band, because if you look out too much, it can make you feel a bit dizzy. You know?
Are you nervous at this moment?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit nervous. Yeah.